The beginning of the unraveling. Monica Carter, a 75-year-old widow, had always been the pillar of strength for her family. As a single mother, she raised her two children, Emily and Mike, with unwavering determination and love. Monica worked tirelessly as a seamstress, often stitching late into the night to ensure her children had everything they needed. She believed in kindness, humility, and sacrifice, values she hoped her children would carry into their lives. But time had passed, and her once energetic body began to falter. Her hands, once nimble and quick with a needle, were now riddled with arthritis. Her steps were slower, her back slightly hunched, yet her spirit remained warm. Despite her advancing age, Monica continued to live independently until an unfortunate fall one winter morning changed everything. Mike, her eldest, lived in another city, managing a flourishing law firm. Known for his work ethic and a heart full of compassion, he ensured that his mother never had to worry about financial burdens. However, it was Emily, her youngest, who lived closer and took on the responsibility of helping Monica after her accident. Emily's initial intention seemed noble, at least on the surface. She moved into her mother's modest home to assist her, ensuring she recovered from her fall. But as weeks turned into months, Monica began to notice subtle shifts in her daughter's behavior. Small requests became demands, and the help that Emily had initially promised turned into control. The shift in roles. "Mom, why is the sink still full of dishes?" Emily's sharp voice jolted Monica out of her afternoon nap. Monica hurriedly got up, her joints aching with every step. "I was resting for a moment, dear. I'll get to them right away." Emily folded her arms, her perfectly manicured nails glinting in the sunlight streaming through the window. "Resting. That's all you seem to do these days. If I didn't remind you, this house would fall apart." Monica said nothing, swallowing the sting of her daughter's words. She turned to the sink, methodically washing the plates and cups, her mind drifting back to the days when Emily was a carefree little girl, always running to her for hugs and bedtime stories. But this Emily was different, harder, colder. The warm laughter that once defined her had been replaced by sharp critiques and unreasonable expectations. Over time, Emily's treatment of Monica became more demeaning. She took control of Monica's pension and insisted it was for her own good. Any resistance was met with emotional manipulation. Monica felt trapped in her own home. Mike's uneasy feelings. Meanwhile, in the bustling city, Mike sat in his corner office, staring at the family photo on his desk. In the picture, Monica's arms were wrapped lovingly around her children, her smile radiating warmth. Emily, then a teenager, had a mischievous grin, while Mike, already in college at the time, looked proud and protective. Lately, Mike couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. His calls to his mother often went unanswered, and when he did manage to get through, she seemed hesitant and distant. Whenever he asked Emily about Monica, her responses were curt and dismissive. One evening, after a particularly grueling day, Mike decided to call Emily again. "Hey, Em, how's Mom doing?" he asked, trying to keep his tone light. "She's fine, Mike. Why do you keep asking?" "I told you, I've got everything under control," Emily replied, her irritation evident. "Can I talk to her?" Mike pressed. "She's resting right now. I don't want to disturb her," Emily said quickly. Mike frowned. Something didn't feel right, but he didn't want to push too hard. "All right, just let her know I called. I'll try again later." As he hung up, a sense of unease settled in his chest. He made a mental note to visit his mother soon, no matter how busy his schedule was. The deeper injustice. Back at Monica's home, Emily's demands grew harsher. She treated Monica less like a mother and more like a servant. From scrubbing floors to ironing clothes, Monica's days were filled with endless tasks, leaving her exhausted. Emily's harsh words chipped away at her self-esteem, and Monica found herself withdrawing further into silence. One evening, as Monica prepared dinner, Emily announced, "Mom, I'm having guests over tonight. Make sure everything is spotless, and I don't want you embarrassing me. Stay in your room." Monica nodded quietly, her heart heavy. She retreated to her small bedroom, sitting on the edge of her bed, staring at the family photo on her nightstand. Tears streamed down her face as she wondered how her relationship with her daughter had come to this. A glimmer of hope. The next morning, as Emily left for a brunch outing, Monica took a moment to sit in the garden. A rare reprieve. She closed her eyes, letting the sun warm her face, and whispered a silent prayer for strength. Little did she know, Mike was already making plans for a surprise visit. Unable to shake the feeling that something was wrong, he had cleared his schedule for the following day. He wanted to see his mother, to ensure she was truly okay. "I'll surprise her," he thought, a small smile playing on his lips. He hadn't told Emily, knowing she'd likely object or come up with excuses. This time, he wanted to see things for himself. As Mike drove toward his childhood home, memories flooded his mind. The laughter that once filled their house, the smell of his mother's cooking, the way she used to sing as she worked. He couldn't wait to see her, to wrap her in a hug and tell her how much she meant to him. What awaited him, however, was something he could never have imagined. The unexpected revelation. Mike arrived at his mother's home just as the sun began its descent, casting a golden hue across the neighborhood he had grown up in. The familiar sights brought a rush of nostalgia, but also a lingering unease. Something felt amiss. Parking his car in the driveway, he noticed the front garden, a space his mother had once meticulously maintained, overgrown with weeds. "That's strange," he murmured to himself. His mother loved her garden. She would never let it fall into such disarray. Mike grabbed the box of her favorite pastries he'd brought along and headed to the front door. He knocked twice, then waited. No answer. After a moment, he knocked again, louder this time. "Mom. Emily. It's Mike," he called out. Inside the house, Monica startled at the sound of her son's voice. She had just finished scrubbing the kitchen counters, her hands raw and trembling. Her heart raced with a mix of joy and fear. She longed to see her son, but dreaded how Emily might react to his unexpected visit. Emily, lounging on the couch, rolled her eyes and muttered under her breath, "What does he want now?" Reluctantly, she got up and opened the door. "Mike," she said, feigning a smile. "What a surprise." "Hi, Em," Mike said, stepping inside and glancing around. The house felt colder, emptier than he remembered. "Where's Mom?" Emily shrugged. "She's resting. She's been really tired lately, you know, with her age and all." Mike frowned. Resting? At this hour? Before Emily could fabricate another excuse, Monica appeared in the doorway to the kitchen, her face lighting up at the sight of her son. "Mike," she exclaimed, her voice trembling with emotion. Mike's eyes widened as he took in her appearance. His mother, always so vibrant and composed, now looked frail and exhausted. Her once neatly styled hair was unkempt, her clothes loose and faded. But it was her hands that caught his attention, red and chapped, evidence of hours of hard labor. "Mom, what's going on?" he asked, stepping forward to embrace her. Monica hesitated, glancing nervously at Emily, who was glaring daggers at her. "Oh, nothing, dear. I've just been keeping busy." Mike wasn't convinced. He turned to Emily. "Keeping busy with what? You said she was resting." Emily waved her hand dismissively. "You know how Mom is. She can't sit still for long, always finding something to do." But Mike's instincts told him there was more to the story. He gently guided his mother to the couch and sat beside her. "Mom, tell me the truth. Are you okay? Is everything all right?" Monica's eyes welled with tears, and for a moment she considered telling him everything. But the sharp look from Emily made her falter. "I'm fine, Mike. Really, it's just, getting older isn't easy." Mike reached for her hands, holding them gently. "Mom, these hands tell a different story. You've been overworking yourself. Why? And why didn't you tell me?" Before Monica could respond, Emily interjected. Oh, for heaven's sake, Mike. You're overreacting. Mom likes to keep busy. She's not a fragile doll. Mike turned to his sister, his voice firm. Emily, I didn't ask you. I'm talking to Mom. The tension in the room was palpable. Emily crossed her arms and leaned against the wall, her irritation evident. Monica, caught between her children, felt a wave of guilt and shame. The cracks began to show. After a few moments of silence, Monica finally spoke. Mike, I didn't want to worry you. You're so busy with your work and your life. I didn't want to be a burden. Mike's heart sank. Mom, you could never be a burden to me. You're my mother. Please, tell me what's been happening here. Monica hesitated, her gaze darting to Emily, who was now glaring at her with thinly veiled anger. Mike noticed the exchange, and his patience snapped. He stood up, towering over his sister. Emily, what's going on here? He demanded. Why does Mom look like she's been doing hard labor? She's supposed to be recovering, not scrubbing floors. Emily scoffed. Oh, come on, Mike. Don't be so dramatic. Mom likes keeping the house clean. If she wants to do a little work, who am I to stop her? A little work. Mike's voice rose. Her hands are raw. Emily, the garden's in shambles, and the house feels like a prison. What have you been doing while Mom's been running herself into the ground? Emily's face flushed with anger. I'm taking care of her, Mike. Unlike you, who just sends money and thinks that's enough. Mike shook his head, his voice laced with disbelief. Taking care of her. This is what you call taking care of her. You're living here rent-free, using her pension, and treating her like a maid. Monica gasped, her hands covering her mouth. She had never seen her children argue so fiercely. Please, stop, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. But Mike wasn't finished. Mom deserves respect, love, and dignity. Not this, whatever this is, he said, gesturing around the room. Emily's composure cracked, and she lashed out. You don't understand, Mike. Do you have any idea how hard it is to be stuck here? To put my life on hold for her. Mike's expression hardened. Stuck here. Emily, this isn't about you. It's about Mom. She raised us, sacrificed for us, and this is how you repay her. By making her feel like a burden in her own home. The turning point. Emily's face contorted with anger, but she said nothing. Mike turned back to his mother, kneeling before her and taking her hands in his. Mom, you don't have to live like this. Pack your things. You're coming with me. Monica's eyes widened in shock. But Mike, this is my home. I can't just leave. Yes, you can, Mike said firmly. This isn't a home anymore. It's a place where you're being mistreated. I won't stand for it. Emily laughed bitterly. Oh, so now you're the hero, swooping in to save the day. What about all the times I had to be here while you were off living your life? Mike stood, his gaze icy. You had the chance to take care of Mom, to show her love and gratitude. Instead, you chose to exploit her. That ends today. Turning back to Monica, he softened his tone. Mom, I'll take care of everything. You don't have to worry about Emily or anything else. Just trust me. Monica hesitated, torn between her love for both her children. But as she looked into Mike's eyes, she saw the same unwavering determination that had always defined him. For the first time in months, she felt a glimmer of hope. Okay, Mike, she said softly. I trust you. As Mike helped his mother pack her belongings, Emily stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. Monica watched her go, her heart heavy, but her spirit lighter than it had been in a long time. For the first time in years, she felt like she could breathe again. Little did she know, this was only the beginning of the journey to reclaim her life and dignity. Rebuilding hope. The drive to Mike's home was quiet but heavy with emotion. Monica sat in the passenger seat, her hands trembling slightly as she clutched her small bag of belongings. She gazed out the window, her mind a swirl of thoughts and emotions. For so long, she had endured Emily's treatment, convincing herself it was her duty as a mother to tolerate her daughter's behavior. But now, as the city lights blurred past, a small spark of hope began to grow within her. Mike, meanwhile, gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white with anger and resolve. He had always trusted Emily to care for their mother, believing her assurances that everything was fine. Now that trust felt like a betrayal, not just of him, but of their mother, the woman who had given everything for them. "I'm sorry, Mom," Mike said suddenly, breaking the silence. Monica turned to him, surprised. "Sorry. For what, dear?" "For not being there sooner," he said, his voice thick with guilt. "I should have known something wasn't right. I should have come to see you instead of relying on Emily's word." Monica reached out and placed a comforting hand on his arm. "You've always done so much for me, Mike. I never wanted to burden you, and I didn't want you to know what was happening." Mike glanced at her, his eyes filled with pain. "Mom, you could never be a burden. You're my mother. You deserve to be treated with love and respect, not whatever that was back there." Monica nodded, her eyes misty. For the first time in a long time, she felt truly seen and valued. A new beginning. When they arrived at Mike's home, Monica was struck by how warm and inviting it felt. The house was spacious but not overly grand, with comfortable furniture and family photos adorning the walls. It exuded a sense of peace that Monica had almost forgotten was possible. "Welcome home, Mom," Mike said, carrying her bag inside. "Your room is ready for you. I had it set up just in case you ever wanted to stay over." Monica followed him down the hallway, where he opened the door to a cozy bedroom. The walls were painted a soft pastel color, and a plush armchair sat by the window, overlooking a small garden. A neatly made bed with a floral quilt beckoned her, and on the nightstand was a photo of her and Mike from years ago. "It's beautiful," Monica whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Mike smiled. "Only the best for you, Mom." Monica sat on the edge of the bed, taking it all in. She felt a weight lifting off her shoulders, replaced by a tentative sense of relief. For the first time in months, she felt safe. A mother's hesitation. The next morning, Monica woke to the smell of freshly brewed coffee and the sound of birds chirping outside the window. She hadn't slept so peacefully in years. As she made her way to the kitchen, she found Mike busy preparing breakfast. "Good morning, Mom," he said cheerfully, flipping pancakes on the stove. "How do you like your eggs?" Monica chuckled softly. "Scrambled, please." Mike grinned, coming right up. As they sat down to eat, Monica hesitated before speaking. "Mike, I don't know how to thank you for everything you're doing for me." "You don't have to thank me, Mom," Mike said, taking a sip of coffee. "This is your home now. You don't have to worry about anything." Monica's smile faltered. "But what about Emily? She's still my daughter. I don't want to lose her." Mike's expression darkened. "Mom, I understand how you feel, but Emily's behavior was unacceptable. She needs to take responsibility for her actions before anything can change." Monica nodded reluctantly, her heart heavy. As much as she wanted to believe Emily could change, the pain of her daughter's betrayal was still fresh. Mike takes action. After breakfast, Mike made a phone call to a trusted colleague, a social worker named Sarah, who specialized in elder care. He explained the situation, leaving out no details of Emily's mistreatment. "Mike, this is serious," Sarah said. "Your mother has been through a lot. We need to document everything and ensure her well-being going forward." "That's exactly why I called you," Mike replied. "I want to make sure my mom gets the care and respect she deserves, and I want to hold Emily accountable for what she's done." Sarah agreed to visit Monica later that week to assess her needs and help set up any necessary support systems. Mike felt a sense of relief knowing his mother would have professional guidance moving forward. Emily's spiraling world. Meanwhile, Emily was fuming. After storming out of the house the previous night, she had retreated to a friend's apartment, where she vented her frustrations. "Can you believe him?" she ranted, pacing the living room. "Acting all high and mighty, like he's some kind of hero. And now Mom's living with him. What does he think I am? Some villain? Her friend, Lisa, raised an eyebrow. Well, Em, from what you've told me, it kind of sounds like you were taking advantage of your mom. Emily shot her a glare. I was doing what I had to do to survive. Mike has no idea how hard it's been for me. Lisa sighed. Maybe you should take a step back and think about what's really important. Your mom's not going to be around forever, you know. Emily bristled at the comment but said nothing. Deep down, a small part of her knew Lisa was right, but her pride wouldn't let her admit it. The healing process. Over the next few days, Monica began to settle into her new life with Mike. She rediscovered simple joys, like tending to the garden and baking her favorite recipes. Mike, ever attentive, made sure she felt loved and appreciated. One afternoon, as they sat in the garden, Monica turned to her son. Mike, do you think Emily will ever change? Mike sighed, choosing his words carefully. Mom, I think people can change, but only if they want to. Emily needs to realize what she did was wrong. Until then, we have to focus on you. Monica nodded, her gaze distant. I just want my family to be whole again. We'll get there, Mom, Mike said, placing a reassuring hand on hers. One step at a time. A chance for redemption. As the weeks passed, Emily's life began to unravel. Without Mike's financial support, she struggled to maintain her lifestyle. The reality of her actions slowly began to sink in, and for the first time, she felt a pang of guilt. One evening, unable to ignore the growing weight of her conscience, Emily picked up her phone and dialed Mike's number. When he answered, his voice was calm but guarded. Mike, Emily hesitated, her usual confidence faltering. I need to talk to Mom. Mike's silence was deafening, but after a moment, he said, She's here. But Emily, if you want to talk to her, it has to be on her terms. No manipulation, no excuses. Emily swallowed hard. I understand. Can I come over tomorrow? Mike glanced at his mother, who had been listening quietly. She gave him a small nod. All right, Mike said. Tomorrow. As he hung up, Monica looked at him, her eyes filled with both hope and trepidation. Do you think she means it? Mike shrugged. We'll find out. For the first time in years, there was a glimmer of hope for reconciliation, but whether Emily's intentions were genuine or driven by desperation remained to be seen. For now, Monica and Mike focused on rebuilding the life she deserved, one step at a time. The confrontation. The morning of Emily's visit dawned bright and clear, but the atmosphere in Mike's home was tense. Monica, dressed in a simple yet elegant blouse and skirt, busied herself in the kitchen, her hands trembling slightly as she prepared tea and biscuits. She was both anxious and hopeful about seeing her daughter. The thought of confronting the pain Emily had caused was daunting, but Monica clung to the hope that this meeting might mark the beginning of healing. Mike, ever protective, kept a watchful eye on his mother. He had spent the previous night preparing for every possible scenario, determined to ensure Monica wasn't hurt again. His trust in Emily was tenuous at best, but for his mother's sake, he had agreed to this meeting. Mom, you don't have to do this if you're not ready, Mike said gently, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. Monica looked up at him, her eyes soft but resolute. I want to see her, Mike. She's my daughter. No matter what's happened, I need to give her a chance. Mike nodded, though his jaw tightened in apprehension. All right, but I'll be here the whole time. At precisely noon, the doorbell rang. Monica froze, her hands gripping the edge of the counter. Mike gave her a reassuring nod before heading to the door. He opened it to find Emily standing there, looking nervous and uncharacteristically subdued. She wore a simple outfit, a stark contrast to her usual polished appearance, and carried a small bouquet of daisies, Monica's favorite. Hi, Emily said softly, her eyes darting past Mike to catch a glimpse of her mother. Mike stepped aside, his expression unreadable. Come in. The first words. Emily stepped inside, clutching the flowers tightly. The house felt warm and inviting, a stark contrast to the tension she had left behind in their old home. When her eyes met Monica's, she froze, the sight of her mother's frail but dignified figure stirring something deep within her. "Mom," Emily said, her voice trembling, I brought these for you." Monica's gaze softened, though her wariness was evident. She stepped forward and took the flowers, her hands brushing against Emily's. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Please, sit down." They moved to the living room, where an awkward silence settled over them. Mike stood nearby, his arms crossed, watching the interaction closely. Finally, Emily cleared her throat. "Mom, I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began, her eyes fixed on the floor. "And I realize now that I've hurt you. I've been selfish, and I've treated you in ways you didn't deserve." Monica's breath hitched, her emotions threatening to overwhelm her. She placed the flowers on the coffee table and folded her hands in her lap. "Emily, why?" she asked, her voice breaking. "Why did you treat me like that? I've always tried to give you the best of myself. What did I do to make you so angry with me?" Emily's head shot up, her face crumpling. "You didn't do anything, Mom. It wasn't about you. It was about me. I've been so angry at my own life, at the way things turned out. I blamed everyone but myself, and I took it out on you. I'm so sorry." The pain comes to the surface. Monica's tears began to fall freely, and for a moment, she said nothing. The room felt heavy with the weight of her emotions. Finally, she spoke, her voice trembling. "Emily, do you know how much it hurt to see my own daughter treat me like I was nothing? I spent my entire life loving you, sacrificing for you. To see you look at me with such disdain, it broke my heart." Emily buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking with sobs. "I know, Mom. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I don't even know if I deserve to be here right now. But I want to try. I want to fix this, if you'll let me." Monica reached out, her hand trembling, and placed it on Emily's knee. "You're my daughter, Emily. No matter what's happened, I'll always love you, but forgiveness is something that has to be earned. It's not just words. It's actions." Emily nodded, wiping her eyes. "I understand, Mom. And I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." Mike's intervention. Mike, who had been silently observing, finally spoke. "Emily, I appreciate that you're here, but words alone aren't enough. Mom deserves better than what you've given her. If you're serious about making amends, you'll need to prove it." Emily looked at her brother, her expression both contrite and determined. "I know, Mike, and I will. I don't expect you to believe me right away, but I'll show you. Both of you." Mike nodded, though his skepticism remained. "All right, but know this, Emily. I won't let Mom go through anything like that again. If you hurt her, you're out of her life for good." Emily swallowed hard, understanding the gravity of his words. "I won't, Mike, I promise." The first step. As the afternoon wore on, the tension began to ease. Emily stayed for lunch, helping Monica in the kitchen and listening attentively as her mother shared stories of her childhood. Though the wounds between them were far from healed, there was a sense of tentative progress. Before she left, Emily hugged Monica tightly, her voice choked with emotion. "Thank you for giving me a chance, Mom. I won't let you down." Monica held her daughter close, her tears soaking into Emily's shoulder. "Just remember, Emily, love is about actions, not just words." As Emily walked out the door, Mike turned to his mother. "How do you feel, Mom?" Monica sighed, her expression a mix of relief and exhaustion. "I feel like this is just the beginning, Mike. But for the first time in a long time, I have hope." Mike smiled and wrapped his arm around her shoulders. "We'll get through this together, Mom, no matter what." A glimmer of change. Over the next few weeks, Emily began to take small but meaningful steps toward redemption. She visited Monica regularly, helping her with household tasks and spending quality time together. She even began attending therapy to address her anger and resentment, a decision that earned her cautious praise from Mike. Monica, while still guarded, began to see glimpses of the daughter she had once known, the vibrant, loving girl who used to light up every room she entered. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope that healing was possible. But as the family worked to rebuild their bond, an unexpected twist loomed on the horizon, one that would test their newfound unity and challenge them to confront the depths of their love and forgiveness. Shadows of the past. As the weeks turned into months, the fragile truce between Emily and her family seemed to hold. She continued visiting Monica, bringing flowers, groceries, and a genuine effort to mend their relationship. Monica, ever the optimist, welcomed her daughter's gestures, though she remained cautious. The scars from Emily's past treatment still lingered, but her heart yearned for reconciliation. Mike, on the other hand, remained vigilant. Though he appreciated Emily's apparent change, his years as a lawyer had taught him to look beyond surface appearances. He quietly observed her actions, waiting for consistency to confirm her sincerity. A visit from the past. One crisp autumn afternoon, as Monica sat in the garden tending to her flowers, a letter arrived. Mike brought it to her, noticing her hands tremble slightly as she unfolded the paper. "It's from the old house," Monica murmured, her eyes scanning the handwritten note. Mike raised an eyebrow. "What does it say?" Monica's face turned pale. "It's from Mr. Henderson, our former neighbor. He says someone has been trying to sell my house." Mike straightened, his lawyer instincts kicking in. "Sell your house? But it's in your name. How is that even possible?" Monica handed him the letter, her eyes wide with worry. "I don't know. He said he saw a for sale sign out front and thought I should know." Mike's jaw tightened as he read the details. He immediately called Mr. Henderson, confirming the situation. The property's listing was active, with a suspicious contact number attached. After hanging up, Mike turned to his mother. "Mom, I need to check your property records. Do you have any documents from the house? Deeds, taxes, anything?" Monica nodded. "They're in the filing cabinet in my room. I'll get them." Minutes later, Monica returned with a folder. Mike opened it, meticulously scanning the documents. Everything appeared to be in order, until he noticed a single glaring inconsistency. "Mom," he said, his voice steady but firm, "this document shows that the property ownership was transferred to Emily." Monica gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "What? How? I never agreed to that." Mike's mind raced. "Do you remember signing anything unusual? Any documents Emily might have asked you to sign?" Monica's face crumpled in distress. I don't know. She often gave me things to sign. Bills, forms. I trusted her." Mike's expression darkened. "She must have used that trust against you." Confrontation and denial. That evening, Mike called Emily to his home. She arrived, looking nervous but composed, a far cry from her usual self-assured demeanor. "Mike, Mom, what's going on?" she asked, sensing the tension in the room. Mike wasted no time. "Emily, we know you transferred Mom's house into your name. Care to explain?" Emily's face flushed, her eyes darting between Mike and Monica. "What are you talking about? I didn't do anything like that." Mike held up the document. "This says otherwise. And Mr. Henderson saw a for sale sign in front of the house. How do you explain that?" Emily's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Finally, she stammered. I was just trying to secure my future. You don't understand what it's like, Mike. I've had nothing. No job, no support." Mike's voice was ice. "Your future? By stealing from Mom. She trusted you, Emily. How could you do this?" Monica, sitting quietly until now, spoke up, her voice trembling. "Emily, I gave you everything I could. My time, my love, my trust. Why wasn't that enough?" Emily's eyes filled with tears. "It wasn't about you, Mom. I was scared. I felt like I had no control over my life. I thought if I had the house, I'd have some security. Mike shook his head in disbelief. Security? By betraying the one person who's always been there for you. You were already living rent-free, Emily. You had all the support you needed, and you still chose to exploit Mom. Facing the consequences, Emily fell silent, tears streaming down her face. Monica's heart ached as she watched her daughter crumble, but she knew this moment was necessary. Trust, once broken, was not easily repaired. Mike leaned forward, his tone measured but firm. Here's what's going to happen, Emily. You're going to sign the house back over to Mom. I'll handle the paperwork, and I'll ensure there are no more legal loopholes for you to exploit. Emily nodded weakly. Okay, I'll do it. But Mike wasn't finished. This isn't just about the house. If you're serious about making amends, you need to earn back Mom's trust. That means consistent effort, not quick fixes. Do you understand? Emily nodded again, her voice barely above a whisper. I understand. A turning point. Over the following weeks, Mike worked tirelessly to undo the damage Emily had caused. With his legal expertise, he successfully transferred the property back into Monica's name. He also put safeguards in place to protect her assets moving forward. Emily, for her part, began taking steps to rebuild her life. She found a part-time job at a local bookstore and started attending therapy regularly. Though her relationship with Monica remained strained, she visited weekly, helping with chores and sharing moments of genuine connection. One evening, as Monica and Mike sat in the garden, sipping tea, Monica spoke up. Do you think she'll really change, Mike? Mike considered her question carefully. I think she's trying, Mom. But change takes time. For now, we focus on protecting you and enjoying the life you deserve. Monica smiled softly, her gaze drifting to the horizon. I just want peace, Mike, for all of us. Mike reached out and held her hand. We'll get there, Mom. Together. A new dawn. Though the road to reconciliation was long and fraught with challenges, Monica found solace in the love and support of her son. She began to rediscover herself, her passions, her strength, her joy. And while Emily's journey toward redemption was far from over, Monica held on to hope that one day their family could heal completely. For now, she was content to savor the quiet moments of peace she had fought so hard to reclaim. As the autumn breeze rustled through the garden, Monica closed her eyes, breathing in the promise of a brighter tomorrow. The road to forgiveness. The following months were a mix of healing, growth, and cautious rebuilding. Monica, now free from the weight of exploitation, flourished in the care and security of Mike's home. She spent her days tending to the garden, baking her favorite recipes, and enjoying quiet moments of reflection. Her laughter, which had been absent for so long, began to echo through the house again. Mike cherished every moment with her, knowing how close they had come to losing those precious memories. But while Monica was rediscovering her joy, Emily was grappling with her own demons. She had begun therapy not just for appearances, but with a genuine desire to understand herself and the choices she had made. The process was grueling, peeling back layers of anger, fear, and resentment that had built up over the years. She realized that much of her behavior had stemmed from feelings of inadequacy and jealousy of Mike's success and the closeness he shared with their mother. One evening, as she sat in her small apartment, Emily stared at a photo of her family taken years ago. In it, Monica was holding her and Mike close, her smile radiant with pride. Emily's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, I want that back. I want to be part of that again. An unexpected gesture. One Saturday morning, Monica was in the kitchen preparing her famous blueberry muffins when the doorbell rang. Mike answered it to find Emily standing there, holding a small, neatly wrapped package. Emily, Mike said, his tone neutral. What brings you here? I wanted to give this to Mom, she said, her voice hesitant. Mike studied her for a moment, then stepped aside to let her in. Monica looked up from the counter, surprised but not unkind. "Emily," she said warmly, though there was a hint of caution in her voice, "it's good to see you." Emily walked over and placed the package on the table. I wanted to give you this. It's not much, but it's something I thought you'd like." Monica carefully unwrapped the package, revealing a framed photo of the three of them from years ago. The frame was simple but elegant, and the photo showed a moment of pure happiness, a family picnic at the park. "Oh, Emily," Monica said, her voice breaking. "This is beautiful." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "I'm trying, Mom. I know I can't undo what I've done, but I want to be better. I want to be someone you can be proud of." Monica stood and pulled her daughter into a hug. "I've always been proud of you, Emily. I just want you to be proud of yourself." Mike watched the scene silently, his heart softening as he saw the sincerity in Emily's actions. For the first time, he felt a glimmer of hope that she was truly changing. The family retreat. To encourage healing and rebuild their bond, Mike suggested a family retreat to a quiet cabin by the lake. Monica hesitated at first, unsure if it was too soon, but Mike reassured her. "This is a chance for all of us to move forward, Mom," he said. "We can't undo the past, but we can build a better future." Emily agreed eagerly, seeing it as an opportunity to show her commitment to making amends. The trip was planned for the following weekend, and Monica found herself both nervous and excited. When they arrived at the cabin, Monica was struck by the beauty of the surroundings. The lake shimmered under the sunlight, and the air was filled with the sounds of nature. It was a stark contrast to the tension that had defined their family dynamic for so long. The first day was filled with light activities, fishing, hiking, and preparing meals together. Though there were moments of awkwardness, there was also laughter, a sound Monica had missed deeply. Breaking down walls. On the second evening, as the family sat around a crackling fire, Monica decided it was time to address the unspoken tension. "Emily," she began, her voice steady but soft, "I need to ask you something. Why didn't you tell me you were struggling? Why didn't you trust me enough to be honest?" Emily looked into the flames, her expression pained. "I don't know, Mom. I think I was afraid. Afraid you'd judge me or be disappointed. And I was angry at myself, at Mike, at the world. It was easier to lash out than to admit I needed help." Monica reached out and placed a hand on her daughter's knee. "You never have to be afraid to talk to me, Emily. I may not have all the answers, but I'll always be here for you." Emily nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry, Mom, for everything." Mike, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "Emily, I think what Mom is trying to say is that we're a family. Families aren't perfect, but they're worth fighting for. The question is, are you willing to keep fighting to make this right?" Emily looked at both of them, her heart heavy but determined. "Yes, I am. I want to earn back your trust and be the daughter and sister you deserve." Monica pulled her into a hug, her tears mingling with Emily's. Mike watched them, his heart full, and for the first time in years, he felt the weight of their family's struggles begin to lift. A new chapter. The rest of the retreat was filled with meaningful conversations, shared laughter, and a growing sense of closeness. Emily opened up about her therapy sessions, sharing insights about herself and the steps she was taking to improve. Monica, in turn, shared stories from her past, reminding her children of the love and sacrifices that had always been at the core of their family. When the weekend ended, they returned home not as a fractured family, but as one beginning to heal. Emily continued her visits, each one marked by genuine effort and affection. She began to rebuild her life, finding stability and purpose in her work and relationships. Monica, now surrounded by love and support, thrived in her golden years. Her home was filled with warmth, laughter, and the presence of her children, not just Mike, who had always been her protector, but Emily, who was finally becoming the daughter she had always hoped for. The gift of forgiveness. One evening, As the family gathered for dinner, Monica raised her glass of iced tea and smiled. "To my children," she said. "To Mike, for always being my rock, and to Emily, for showing me that it's never too late to change." Mike and Emily exchanged a glance, their bond stronger than it had ever been. They clinked glasses and joined their mother in her toast, the room filled with love and gratitude. In the end, it wasn't the pain or betrayal that defined their family. It was their resilience, their love, and their willingness to forgive. And for Monica, that was the greatest gift of all, the foundation of trust. As the days turned into weeks after the family retreat, Monica found herself cautiously optimistic. Emily continued to visit regularly, now contributing more than just gestures of goodwill. She brought groceries, helped Monica tend to the garden, and even spent time volunteering at a nearby senior center. While Emily's transformation wasn't immediate or perfect, Monica could see a genuine effort in her daughter's actions. One afternoon, as Monica arranged flowers in a vase by the window, Emily sat beside her on the couch, nervously fidgeting with her hands. "Mom," Emily began, her voice hesitant, "I've been thinking a lot about everything I've done. And I know I can't change the past, but I want to do something to show you how much I've changed." Monica turned to her, her eyes soft and kind. "What is it, dear?" Emily reached into her bag and pulled out a legal document. "I've been saving money from my job, and I want to pay back the expenses I used from your pension. I also want to start contributing to the household expenses. It's not much right now, but it's a start." Monica's heart swelled with emotion as she looked at the paper. It wasn't the money that moved her, but the thoughtfulness and accountability behind Emily's gesture. "Emily," Monica said, her voice trembling, "you don't have to do this. Seeing you change and grow is worth more than any money. But I'm proud of you for taking responsibility." Emily blinked back tears. "I want to, Mom. I need to. It's part of proving to you, and to myself, that I can be better." Mike's guarded optimism. Mike, while supportive of Emily's progress, remained cautiously protective of Monica. One evening, as they sat on the back porch watching the sunset, he voiced his concerns. "Mom, Emily's doing well, but I want you to know that it's okay to set boundaries," he said. "You've been through so much, and it's important to protect your peace." Monica smiled at her son, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I know, Mike, and I'm so thankful for you always looking out for me. But I also believe that people can change. Emily's trying, and I want to give her the chance to prove herself." Mike nodded, though the protective instinct in him still lingered. "Just promise me you'll let me know if anything feels off." "I promise," Monica said, squeezing his hand. A test of Emily's resolve. The true test of Emily's growth came one chilly autumn morning when Monica woke up feeling under the weather. Mike had an important court case that day and couldn't stay home, so he called Emily, asking if she could spend the day with their mother. Emily arrived promptly, her expression a mix of concern and determination. She helped Monica to the couch, fetched her tea and a warm blanket, and stayed by her side, chatting and keeping her company. As the day wore on, Monica dozed off, her face peaceful. Emily sat quietly, reflecting on how far she had come. She thought about the times she had ignored her mother's needs, consumed by her own bitterness, and felt a deep pang of regret. When Monica stirred awake, Emily was sitting beside her with a bowl of homemade chicken soup. "I made this for you, Mom," she said, her voice soft. "It's not as good as yours, but I hope it helps." Monica smiled, her heart swelling with pride. "Thank you, Emily. This means more to me than you know." Rebuilding together. Over the next few months, Emily's actions continued to speak louder than her words. She began spending more time with Mike, helping him organize pro bono cases for his law firm. She even suggested starting a small program to support elderly clients who had been victims of financial abuse, something Monica wholeheartedly supported. The three of them began to rebuild their bond, not through grand gestures, but through the small, meaningful moments that defined family. They cooked meals together, reminisced about old times, and even started a weekly movie night. For Monica, these moments were the culmination of everything she had ever wanted. A family united not by perfection, but by love and effort, a symbol of healing. One day, Emily arrived at Monica's house with a surprise. In her hands was a small sapling, its leaves vibrant and green. "What's this?" Monica asked, curious. "It's a peach tree," Emily said with a shy smile. "I thought we could plant it together in the garden. A symbol of new beginnings." Monica's eyes filled with tears as she reached out to touch the delicate branches. "It's beautiful, Emily, just like the effort you've put into healing our family." Together, they planted the tree in a sunny corner of the garden, their hands working side by side in the soil. Mike joined them, bringing water for the sapling and sharing in the moment. As they stood back to admire their work, Monica felt a deep sense of contentment. The tree wasn't just a plant, it was a promise of growth, forgiveness, and the resilience of love, the future of a family. Years later, the peach tree stood tall and strong, its branches heavy with fruit. Monica, now older but still vibrant, often sat beneath its shade, reflecting on the journey her family had taken. Emily, now in a stable career and a much healthier place emotionally, visited regularly, bringing peaches from the tree to share with her coworkers and friends. Mike, as always, remained a pillar of support, his bond with Monica and Emily stronger than ever. The road to forgiveness had been long and difficult, but it had been worth every step. Their family, once fractured, was now whole. Not perfect, but filled with love, understanding, and a commitment to keep growing. And for Monica, that was the greatest legacy she could have hoped to leave behind.